have just been holding the scale there.
Everybody, we're up at Ibanez HQ in sunny Birmingham, heart of the Black Country.
Indeed.
And I'm with Lee, and we've just shot a video on some cool new guitars. Where are they? These new sort of more affordable versions of the AZ series. And just before we started filming that video, I put something on social media saying, if any of you got any questions for Lee, post them away and I'll ask him. And of course, there's about 1,000 of them. So I thought we'll do an extra bonus segment.
It is real. It is real.
It is. Well, at least the fibres are real. Whether the colour is, that's debatable.
Hey, surely that's just colour correction on this video, isn't it?
So I'm going to go. We put some stuff on Instagram and some stuff on Facebook, and hey ho, I'm going to go through them now. And any that are decent and clean, I shall ask Lee the questions. So, Mr. Lee, in no particular order, from JB Busy Bee, what's the best Laney for home use and practice, and why?
There are a couple of things you can try. Number one, you could try any tube amp these days, any valve amp, and buy yourself a Captor X from 2 Notes or something like that, so you could practice at home and record. Doesn't have to just be a practice amp. We have got Cub Super amps, which are really super affordable, sound brilliant at low volume as well as blisteringly loud as well. The Cub Super 10 is probably your best bet because that's a 6-watt amp. Still quite loud though. Then we have something called an L5 Studio, which will allow you, this is part of this range, the Lionheart range, which allows you to plug straight in via USB to your computer and record that way. And we've got something called an Ironheart Studio, which allows you to do the same. So from a Laney perspective, we have Cubs, we have Lionhearts, and we have Ironhearts, and they all do different things, and they will have a different tonal palette. So depending on what you're into.
All right. And if any of you can hear that kind of tearing sound in the background, that's not the Velcro holding Lee's wig in place. That's actually we're in the Laney and Ibanez warehouse. So it's people actually doing jobs and wrapping up boxes.
And you don't mean this wig, do you? It's the one every time I sit forward.
So here's a good one, and Pete can shout an answer in here as well as he's manning the cameras today. If myself, this Lee and Pete were to own our own Ibanez guitars, which ones would they be? Pete, I'm guessing you're going first, aren't you? So Pete would have the new AZS series.
Yeah. And one of those.
This is a bit of you, isn't it, Pete? For sure.
I would have the AZS series.
Oh,
like the gold
these,
one.
yeah, these.
Sorry, AZN. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
And what would you? I mean, you have dozens of Ibanez guitars.
I
What's
do.
your number one?
Depends if I'm in Vi mode.
Yes.
Then I'm going to have my old Universe.
Yeah.
Because it's just Steve Vai, isn't it? Or a Pia. God, that guitar's so good, yeah. If I'm doing anything else other than that, it would be my AZ prototype.
Cool. Well, there we are. I'm desperate for a Pia. In fact, it's too much coffee this morning, that's the problem. So let's have a look here. Can we just clear up as well? So someone says, when I say someone, I'm going to find his name. Doc Holiday. Have Laney amps always been made in the West Midlands?
Well, yes and no, depends on which one. Because there have been, obviously, ranges that have moved to different production all over the world to make them affordable for people, tenable. And then some have remained just solely handcrafted here, so the Black Country Customs range.
Well, this is a good link here.
It's a good link because a lot of you will know the Lionheart range started life here. Then there was some production that moved over to China. And now it's all come back to the UK as of this month. You can now buy all the Lionhearts are all, handcrafted here, literally below us.
Go British manufacturing.
Yeah.
And speaking of which then, so this is from Jonas Sweden 1. What actual model did Tony Iommi use back in the day?
Well, it would have been an LA 100 BL, so bass and lead, and 100 watt. Absolute beast. And the reason why it was called BL, bass and lead, was because you could plug a bass guitar into it and you could plug a lead guitar into it. That's how all amps were back in the day. So even the old Marshalls, there was sort of a dual, operation to them.
Now, okay, this is from Fedius89. Sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. He's going, are we likely to see any updates to the Ironheart model? So that's the more sort of rock and metal kind of
Well,
stuff.
interesting. They do, it's kind of, I would say Ironheart do the extremes, think of it that way. Super, super clean, ridiculously clean, like almost DI'd in, or intense metal. You can kind of get both, they're probably the most versatile of all the Laney amps, Swiss Army tool, that kind of vibe. I would watch this space at around traditional NAMM time, and that's all I can say.
Now here's an interesting one. There you go, look, you heard it here first. There's somebody here saying, big fan of like RG and S series guitars, but can't really get on with the Wizard necks. So is there anything that's sort of got that more, I suppose, modernistic kind of body shape and pickup configuration, but with a more traditional style neck on it? Or is that sort of AZ territory?
It's definitely AZ territory from my perspective. Yeah.
That was from...
But having said that, when you're talking about like a Wizard 3 neck on an S, they're the super, super thin ones. You can get, some of my RGs have much more of a baseball bat vibe to them. So there are degrees of wizard. Degrees of wizardry.
You're a wizard, Harry!
You're a woman, Harry.
So... is there going to be a new premium Steve Vai model like the old 777 FP, or is that just like...
Well, we are, if you had have asked me this question in maybe about a month's time, I might have been able to tell you not been able to tell you, but I might have known the answer to this. So I don't know yet. I don't know what the 2022 lineup and beyond is going to be, but it's traditionally around about this time of year that we would get to find out. But, for my mind, the 77p BFP, the Blue Floral Pattern Gem, which is the only premium, is amazing. So, it depends what kind of finish you'd like to see.
Does Tim Henson have a new signature model coming this year?
I don't, again, we've timed this kind of perfectly for me not to have the answers.
Excellent. There's a lot of love coming up for older Laney models, like the GH series, VC series, even someone posting something about the AOR series, which is like a solid state series, isn't there? Are we likely to see from the bowels of Laney R&D any more sort of throwback guitar amp models?
I don't know about this coming year, that's for sure. I think we are a forward-thinking company. But when you think about things like AOR, loads of people love that amp.
Yeah.
Just
it was solid state, wasn't it?
No, it was tube. It was tube
okay,
amp.
I'm thinking of a different one there.
It was just one of those, it was a very kind of popular amp. Now, the Ironhearts overtook them. Basically, it's designed, the Ironhearts are designed based off the AOR. So if you're going to see anything, it will be a new iteration of an amp from the bygone eras. We do have new things coming.
Polterra which, I don't know, what is that, like a cross between
Pantera
chicken and Pantera?
Chicken
Poltera. Are we going to see any of the headless guitars with tremolo systems?
Again, we're about a month too early for me to answer that question. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see them with a floating trem.
I agree.
When I first saw these, sort of on paper, I thought that I saw one with a trem.
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for this kind of guitar to have some sort of a, I don't know what kind of a trem could go on it.
Stuff
Would
like-
it be
Floyd
like a
would work.
Kayla, or would it be like a
you'd have to have
just like a low pro Floyd or something?
I'd want a Floyd on there, for sure.
Who out there in YouTube land has played one of these yet? They are definitely, you know, an acquired taste guitar. I kind of feel like once for me, the bit that threw me the most when I was jamming with Lee earlier on is very slightly out the corner of my eye. I've obviously subconsciously got this relative position of where my hand should be to the headstock, and where it's not there, I'm finding it a bit
Well, the good thing is
disconcerting.
Chibson are making a rubber headstock that you can put on.
What a brilliant idea!
Great.
So
you buy yourself a headless guitar, then you buy the accessories
or
from Chibson.
maybe the thing to do is just a pointless headless guitar. So put the head on, but still have still have all the advantage of, like, I guess the idea of like the locking nut and the short sort of string space here, but just have a headstock. No, I don't.
I
know.
like it with just a hand, like a rubber hand that you could.
You get a hook. And then
Yeah,
you can-
well, it's like Psychoville from Mr. Jelly.
Okay, a couple of questions here. This particular one from Elliot B. Martindale, the fourth. Are there going to be more left-handed versions? We've looked at some new guitars today. Haven't seen any lefties.
This
are
is
there plans?
always a point of contention. I
It
remember
is.
going and doing, you know, a tour of places. Remember how when you could do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we went round with all the AZs, AZs, depending on where you were, with Tom and Martin. In fact, we came to see you,
Yeah.
didn't we? That sort of time. Every place we went to, someone said, when are these going to be available as a left-hander? And sadly, the honest answer is I don't know. And I don't know really how, you know, people's minds are made up about how many they will, you know, distribute across the globe. It's just one of these things where, in some respects, someone like Martin Offler was a left-handed player, thought, I'm never going to get that.
No,
Just play right.
There's no, unfortunately, until every single model in every single colour is made in left-handed for the same price as the right-handed one, there'll always be an element of it being a bit unfair if you're a left-handed guitar player. But the laws of economics and all that kind of stuff would suggest that, unfortunately, there's just not enough players out there to warrant making everything in every single. But whatever, that debate will rage on. This says here from Yeti Claw Picks, can Lee become a regular demo guy for your videos? Top bloke. I mean, this is where that very last two words is the bit that's the giveaway. We're talking about this Lee and not this Lee. Well, yeah, look, do you know what? We have a thing called Andertons Extra, which is a subscription TV thingy that we do with extra content on it, and Lee does lots for that. So maybe you want to go and check that out.
Go and see that.
Now that you're making, there's the very last question here before these were all Instagram questions, and I'll jump on over to Facebook in a minute. But there was one from Bruce Hamilton Hitchin. I don't know if that's a double-barreled surname or just where he lives. But
Or how he feels right now.
yeah, maybe. Now that you're building some more of the UK stuff, more of the range back in the UK, will they do custom colour? You know, could you actually just say, if I pay a bit extra, could I have this? Because he wants a purple LA100 BL.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
I think Larry would want one of those.
Yes.
And a certain other gentleman over there first. I know that we have traditionally sometimes done that for artists, so there's no reason why we couldn't. As we look to expand our platforms here in the UK, there's potential for it.
Moving on now to our Facebook comments, and I shall try and rattle through these. I'll just find the interesting ones. Jacka Jark wants to know, why was the Laney VC line discontinued, seeing as it seemed to be so popular? That's a good question, though.
I think it was superseded by the Lionhearts. I think that's the bottom line there. The VCs were kind of Laney's answer. This is way before my time, I must say, but they were the answer to an AC30 back in the day. and they were superseded by the Lionheart. So again, it shows that growth of the brand rather than just keep reissuing the same old amps, keep moving forwards.
Somebody here wants to know what's the plural of Ibanez.
Ibanez.
Brilliant. So
To clarify that.
Dude Rocks wants to know if you're going to bring out the Ibanez Destroyer again. What was the Destroyer? Wasn't that like the Iceman type?
Well, we brought the Ziphos back. What more do you want?
Yes, you
The
did.
Ziphos, yes.
In that two-tone green
The
kind
black,
of...
well, the black label stuff that's come out recently that was really struggling to get hold of actually, which is proper metal, isn't it? So because they're so popular and through demand, they have reissued the Ziphos or Xiphos. So who knows? Strange things have happened.
This is a good question. Thor Anderson wants to know if Laney are likely to take a leaf out of the sort of Fender Tone Master book and do some of their classic valve amplifiers, but using that sort of digital technology.
I think that is a distinct possibility. It just depends on which ones you think would be worth doing. So let us know in the comments. I think that's the way to do it.
I'm not desperately hoping that's the wrong thing, but I think that Tone Master call from Fender, the idea of going, it's digital, but feature-wise and visually, it's just going to look exactly the same as the old amplifier, was just such a genius call.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait till Vox do that to the AC30 or Marshall do it to the JTM 45.
I think it's only a matter of time, isn't it?
Yeah, and things like, the BL100 and stuff, it would just be such a great amp to do that to.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the longest Ibanez model that you can say from memory? That's from
there is the
Samabata.
Flotinosinihilipilificate Anti-Disestablishmentarianism RG.
What else have we got here? It's an interesting one. I mean, Carl Lofty Anslow, is there any way of stopping moisture from getting under the clear scratch plate of the floral gem? I mean,
wow.
Don't run a shower.
Don't have a bath with it,
Don't have a bath with it.
I've never
I'm
known
guessing.
anything to... I mean, you talk
do you
about
live?
floral gem, and are you talking
Lives in the
about
rainforests of Brazil. So it might be a tricky one there.
So I would say, if you're talking about the original gem, floral gem, which used to have the fabric actually under the finish, then I don't know. I've never noticed that actually being a problem with the Primus.
I've not seen that. What else have we got here? Here we go. I mean, half of me wishes that hopefully we can spin a cam around. Someone says, is there any plan for a Klipp reissue? Now, Klipp, spelt a bit like Jurgen Klopp, but with an I instead of a P. I'd never even heard of, let alone seen before our trip up here today. And maybe we'll do a close-up of the Klipp and we'll edit that in. But tell us about the Klipp.
I can't tell you a damn thing about that because I never played it.
But what is that? The first
it's
one? Is that
it was one of the first Laney amps, certainly mass-produced amps. If you take out the LA 100 and that kind of era, then you've got things like Klipps starting to come in, and then AOR. The boffins here have been thinking about that kind of thing ever since I've been here. Should we reissue the Klipp? And certainly on our very special forum that we have for Laney, people are always talking about, will you reissue the AOR or the Klipp? I'm thinking of actually getting a few Klipps. We've got some museum pieces here, getting a few of those and actually doing some live streams with them so people can actually hear it, because I've never heard one in the flesh. Lee's obviously never done that either. Pete probably hasn't. So you might change your mind when you hear it.
I tell you what is interesting. So the Laney have built like a mezzanine floor in what is essentially a massive warehouse. So the space that we're in now, the ceiling goes up about another, 20 meters or so, and we're obviously in a huge 50,000 square foot warehouse here. And what you realize is the tone of like a 112 valve combo, which when we're in our studio and we're in a normal room, has always had a certain tonal characteristic that maybe sometimes you think, I could do with a bit more bass end and all that kind of stuff. The minute you're in here, which is probably more indicative of the kind of spaces that these amps would originally have been made to fill, proper theatres and stuff like that. It sounds wicked.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. 300 quid for a guitar, 300 quid for an amp, and then sort of £250,000 a year rent on the warehouse. There's your tone. Forget pedals. Chris George, who is actually not the Chris George that I know, it's another Chris George, and this is quite an interesting one and probably difficult to answer, but if you had to pick a perfect partnership of an Ibanez guitar and a Laney amplifier, what would you pick?
Oh, I can answer that really easily, because if I have to go and do a demo of anything, then I will take a Lionheart amp and an AZ or an AZ, just a premium or prestige, but the dual humbucker, not the HSS, because I just prefer a humbucker in the neck.
There's so much love for the AOR range.
Oh, I know.
And as like as a retailer, an Andertons retailer who has been selling amps for 30 years, honestly and truthfully, I don't think anyone really appreciated them when they were, I honestly, it was not ever really an amp that ever sold in any numbers.
Yeah.
So it's odd, isn't it, that this seems to be, people seem to have discovered them many years after they've been discontinued.
Sometimes, it's what you can't have, you want. I think there's an element of people. What was that album? What was that? Guitar tone. Oh, it was an AOR. And then can I get one? No, they're quite rare now. And then you get this community of very, very passionate people online who are championing that particular amp still.
What else have we got here? I mean, whilst you've got the T-Style out, because that's relatively new, albeit not called T-Style, the Gary Thomas O'Neill is basically saying, is this going to expand beyond the prestige range?
Oh, you mean down into maybe a premium level?
It's inevitable, isn't it?
I can imagine. So if you look at what's happened with, the more S-type guitars, these actual S single cut, maybe we'll move down into premium. Again, we're about a month behind me knowing that for certain. I honestly don't know what's coming next as yet.
There's lots and lots of love on here for Ibanez and Laney generally. And as always, let's end with a slightly amusing one. James Kappa wants to know, is it Ibanez or Ibahnay?
Oh, are you trying to say the plural?
No, this is just phonetically. Is it Ibanez or Ibahnay?
It's Ibanez.
Even if a Japanese person says it, they say Ibanez.
Oh, yes.
So
Ibanez.
Only Spanish people would say
Only
Ibanez.
Spanish people
and they
would
probably
say
get
that.
Ibanez.
But if you went back, however many years it is now, decades, the original company was Spanish. So that's where it comes from. It is a Spanish name, but then the moment the Japanese bought it, Hoshino bought Ibanez, went, no, that's what we're going to pronounce it.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting because I was speaking to another acoustic guitar, fairly well-known acoustic guitar manufacturer the other day, that sound a bit Spanish. And it's completely contrived. Like somebody because they originally just made Spanish guitars, they thought, well, we better have a Spanish-sounding name. So,
no, it was actually bought.
Ibanez was a Spanish guitar manufacturer from Spain that Hoshino bought.
Hoshino bought it.
Who knew? What are you talking, back in the 60s or something? Or
Oh,
late 60s?
Yeah, it must have been around about that era. If you have a look on the Ibanez wiki forum, which is an amazing place, actually, it'll tell you all about it there. But yeah, Hoshino bought Ibanez and then went, no, we're calling it Ibanez.
Well, so the debate will continue. So maybe it is Ibanez.
It depends if you're a traditionalist, and the only guitar that you bought was one of those very, very early guitars that had nothing to do with modern day Ibanez that you see now.
Well, who knew? And that you are a mine of useless information, Lee. Thank you so much.
Veritable fountain of non-knowledge.
There we are. I don't know what we'll do with this footage. It may well just end up in the archives of Facebook somewhere. Who knows? But thank you so much for answering those questions. And thank you very much for sending the questions in. I'm sorry if I didn't ask one of yours. There were literally hundreds of them. That's it. Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you very much for watching. Au revoir.
Cheerio.
Or hasta la vista, baby, as they say in Ibanez.